Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. My name is Winged Supernova. In the last episode, we finished the first portion of the trial for Chapter 3. And in this episode, we're going to try and do some more investigating, kind of get to the bottom of some of the questions that we raised in court. And honestly, this is the first trial in Great Ace Attorney, from what I can see, that we kind of had the advantage, or at least a neutral state, for the majority of the deliberations. It's honestly a bit of fresh air, to be quite honest, because I thought that we were going into this at a major disadvantage, that we didn't have much evidence at all, and it turns out I couldn't have been more wrong, because in reality, the prosecution made a really dumb argument, because they thought that would be the best way to sort of prove that the defendant was guilty, I guess. Either that, or he's actually trying to put himself at a disadvantage because he doesn't believe that Professor Harebrain did this deliberately, and he's trying to get to the heart of the matter. I think that's probably more likely, but only time will tell, so let's get back into it.
Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes?
I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You were right. I tricked you. You trusted me. I dragged you into my mess. Oh, how did it ever come to this? I'm so sorry.
Did you really have no idea, Professor? About what Mr. Drebber was really up to, I mean? About what he was really constructing?
Naturally. That machine was the embodiment of my hypothesis, of all my hopes and dreams. I had complete faith in it.
Alright, in that case, I won't say any more. Now, sadly, the murder accusation against you still stands, so we must do as much investigation as we can before the trial resumes tomorrow.
Well, thank you for doing so much for me.
Oh yeah, and Susato's back. I forgot to mention the most important part of this entire thing. Susato is back.
I'm so sorry for arriving late this morning, Mr. Naruhodo.
Arriving late?
Didn't you receive my postcard? I wanted to let you know when I'd arrive.
Postcard? What postcard?
I hid it from you, Runo, so it would be a surprise.
I knew it.
Well, did it work?
I was surprised, all right, especially when she threw me to the ground.
Oh dear, I'm so sorry. I was just so happy to see you again.
It sort of slipped out. All right. Maybe we could stick to more traditional displays of emotion in future.
Susie's train was late into London Victoria this morning, you see. But we made the coachman really whip the horses hard so she didn't miss the whole trial. I was watching from the gallery for a while, but in the end, I'm afraid I couldn't contain myself.
Well, I'm glad you didn't.
Oh!
Having you at my side in court gives me the strength I need to win. So, I'm, delighted to see you back in London.
Oh, you're too kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm delighted to be here. I hope I can continue to be of service to you.
Of course. So, what's brought you back? Did Professor Mikotoba not protest?
Let's save all that conversation for when we're back at home, shall we? You know, I've made one of my most special blends ever for this special occasion. Oh, Iris, how wonderful! I can't wait.
Susato-san was back in London. It's hard to describe how happy that made me feel at the time, but despite my elation, our tale was about to take yet another extraordinary turn. And here's the to be continued. Yeah, there it is. So if I had just, done about 5 minutes more of recording, we would have hit this last episode, but oh well. It's usually how it goes. I always save. Always save, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so what kind of unexpected turn are we going to have? Oh, this room! It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true.
So, is your father alright, Susie? What happened?
My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised, but happy.
I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Interesting.
Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now.
No. I think that's a big deal. Trying to figure out why exactly you were able to come back. That's gonna play into things.
After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh!
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma.
I know. I'll tell you all that I can.
Alright, so we start with this.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh yes. For the murder of Giselle Brett. Giselle Brett.
Ooh, you dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it. Don't you, Runo?
Yes, I suppose so. Yo, it was a sight, dude.
I want to play at being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache.
I want to know if there's any art of that. That'd be hilarious. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be, then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets.
Okay, that's fine. I will try and believe that. Because I believe we're both on the same side now.
Oh, Susie!
That's a very meaningful look Susato's giving Iris there. Yep, it's the biggest secret she kept the whole time. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium, too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency, Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten.
Oh no, I didn't forget this guy.
That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face again in my life. Damn! Even if you run into him at, like, the supermarket or something?
Oh, well, anyway, as Father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain, too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Stronghart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes, and as I understand it, Lord Stronghart organized the entire event himself.
I don't know why I started to say X. That is weird.
I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
Oh. Power grab, maybe? The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's helped the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said, anyway. Apparently, it's Lord Stronghart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Stronghart personally, then, I wonder? Which means that, you know, if Mikotoba knows something about that dog collar, it's probably something Lord Stronghart also knows about, since they probably are adjoined at the hip somehow. Actually, Lord Stronghart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it.
How trying for you.
Oh boy, why we gotta talk about this girl? Giselle Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist.
Didn't exist? But how can that be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin, and she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
A front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss A. Shin.
Miss A. Shin? Okay. Her name is literally all
our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I don't really know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed, while all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered.
I'm afraid so.
A. Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Oh, really? Well, that's probably why I should have been playing this game back to back to back and not, skipping out on it weeks at a time. As I might have known. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, maybe that was one of the names in the final piece of evidence that we got. I think it was like the audio thing, right? Where it named off some names, and it said Mikotoba, Stronghart, and that name, A. Shin. And we thought it was a guy. But if that was her, then, ooh, that's interesting.
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
I don't remember. Oh yeah, I gave him like a Chicago accent. I gave him a Chicago accident. Oh yeah, the good old Chicago accident, world famous. I
I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never...
That wasn't his voice, but I just came up with it again, so whatever.
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
And what did you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been.
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. It just disappeared.
What? Kazuma's body vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the hills, on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Kazuma-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikotoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Yeah, I have that feeling of apprehension as well. And the main reason I have that feeling of apprehension is one of the reasons why I felt the same way in a different video game. I'm not going to name which one because that would spoil like the entire fucking game, but it was where the cause of death, I just didn't believe it, and it turned out to be true. That's all I'm going to give. If you've played the game, you probably know what I'm talking about. With even that vague hint, you probably know what I'm talking about. But it's the same thing. Like he tripped because the cat ran under his legs and he hit his head on the end of the bed. That's what killed him. Like that was always weird to me. And I was wondering if it was going to come up again, but now they're saying that they took his body. And the only reason that I would say that they would take his body is that they snuffed him out. Someone snuffed him out that we didn't know about. And as a result, they wanted to cover it up for some reason. Kazuma was going to do something here in Japan that was relating to his mission that they didn't want him to get to the heart of. This is gonna be crazy. This is gonna be crazy. Oops, I accidentally hit the court record button. Oh, we got more. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Buria were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Just thinking about the possibility pains me. So very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo.
I would think that they would be able to ascertain whether he was dead or alive, right? I mean, Herlock was there too, right? And I'm sure that he took his pulse, didn't he?
When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
Ah, you're right. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. Yeah, that's true. That's what I thought.
But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose that's true, yes, unless he was the one who killed him. Which I don't think is the case. I mean, that would be the biggest plot twist of all. That'd be the biggest plot twist in any Ace Attorney game, is if the fucking lovable detective guy that we actually fucking love to death and is on the box art and is like everyone's best friend and, you know, is actually the killer. That would be messed up. And I have not seen anything Great Ace Attorney, like artwork or anything like that, that would lead you to believe that. And I'm surprised that I haven't been spoiled on anything plot-wise in this game so far, but I feel like something that giant would have leaked out to me. But maybe not. I don't know. The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. Don't use that word. This is a different game series. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about, after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Alright. Well, am I presenting things to you now? Why not? You're still taking good care of that armband, I see. I'm so pleased. Well, yes, it feels like it feels like I wouldn't be me without it now, to be honest. Oh dear, there seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look. I'd be only too happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, thank you. I must have scraped it against something again. I'm always doing that. Then take better care of it, please. It was all going so well until I ruined it. When she hits that pose, you know you're in for a scolding. Yeah, I don't know. Are we supposed to examine anything? Yeah, we can examine Iris, okay. I was wondering if she was still here. It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles. But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it. So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting! The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh, we're getting this bombshell now, too. Oh! I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing? Oh, Father. Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand? But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea. Well, I can tell you what it was doing in Japan. Mikotoba's fucking hiding everything from us, and we gotta get to the bottom of it, I tell you what. But when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. Yeah, pretty much everyone is embroiled in this web of lies and hidden stuff from us, and we're going to get spoon-fed a little information at a time, and we're going to find out what's going on here.
When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie.
So are you going to tell us what that story was about, Iris? Because I feel like it may be important.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well.
So you're fully abreast of the situation already, Miss Susato. I'd expected nothing less, to be honest.
I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer of sorts by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then we need to go and arrest him.
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man.
It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you?
Yep, gotta keep up the tea stock. That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Well, onwards we go. That was a good 30-minute conversation. Let's see. I suppose we go to Tuspel's, right? Because if we're looking for the guy, then we probably want to go to where Herlock is.
Oh my, no wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery.
The confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that.
I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere.
That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Okay, I guess we'll just have to come back again later. Where to go, where to go, where to go, where to go? I don't think we really want to go to the Lord Chief Justice's office. Prison, we could talk to our client. Why not? What in the world are you doing? Looks like some sort of deranged psycho killer is... You know what? It reminds me of the Rat Man a little bit from Portal. What's he doing?
He's... Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations.
And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, and who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikotoba. I am Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Oh, if only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner! None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all.
Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you.
I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning.
Oh no. The whole thing, the whole miserable affair, it all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot.
Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell?
Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had on hand.
Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe?
No, actually. This is my autobiography.
Your autobiography?
How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Harebrain.
I would probably say that wouldn't age too well in the future.
I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers and an ambitious set of simultaneous equations.
Really?
I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see? So it's going to be a new serial publication from next month. Part 1, an odd birth, an odd upbringing.
You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case?
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled, I was fiddled, by the pair of them. By Asman, and by that aloof engineer Drebber.
We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? I hope not, but let's see.
Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asman, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even.
I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way.
No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public.
No, of course you didn't.
But in court this morning, I realized something.
Oh?
If you'd done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you were aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me.
Oh, Professor.
He believed in me this morning, you know. Barrick did. He believed in my hypothesis.
Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case.
No, Barrick wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it.
Did he?
I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution in my trial, I mean.
And why is that?
After the terrible accident happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even.
I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there.
So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barrick, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense.
And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor.
Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barrick insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish.
You think that's why he...
I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul.
But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he?
Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it.
And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? I don't know. I don't think he's the Reaper, though, so we'll find out.
Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start?
I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes.
When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so emphatic.
But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems.
I still can't believe it.
As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic, it probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually.
But the scale of it, it wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception.
All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe.
It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asman is no more, of course, which only leaves the engineer.
Mr. Enoch Drebber.
What about him? What about him? Is he an engineer, or a magician, or a swindler?
It was about a year ago when Mr. Asman first brought Drebber to meet me at my lab. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine.
But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist?
Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist.
What do you mean?
He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man is a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation.
I see.
But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us as to his whereabouts?
I'm sorry, we only ever discussed the kinesis machine, nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop.
What workshop?
Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine.
I think that's a little bit important. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there. Alright. Gotta talk to him one more time. So you've been to Drebber's place of work, then?
Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see.
Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance we'll find Drebber there.
Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry!
I was more than half expecting that.
You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there.
He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then.
The place was incredible, the pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best, a special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formulae and use that instead.
I think that might be an acquired taste. What do you think, Miss Usato? Holiday machine for your next birthday?
I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example?
The man was clearly very cautious, Mr. Sato. I'm sure he would know.
Aha! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here, look.
What?
Let me see that.
Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you?
Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address.
No. Oh well, I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. No, we'll see. Suppose I should check it, since we just got it. Enoch Drebber, engineer. There's a plus. Oh, there's a stain on the back. This dark smudge.
I think perhaps it's machine oil.
Ah, yes, possibly. Professor Harebrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high-quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain.
Yes, that's right, but more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So, excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all.
Don't worry. I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Unfortunate that we can't Like, give it to a dog and have the dog find him or some shit. Well, I guess that's all we have here. To the experimentation stage? Can we finally go and investigate the scene where the body was discovered? Oh, she has a dog. That's interesting.
I had no idea there were so many people in the world.
I know what you mean. It's really packed here today.
It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point.
Has it? I shut my brain down, so I didn't really notice, to be honest.
Gosh, I do wish I had your absence of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo.
There you are. I had a feeling you lot would show your mugs before long. Oh, Inspector Gregson. I see you're hard at work as usual. Warm greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since last we met. What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this one. He's not talking to you, Ryunosuke. Not you, Sunshine. Gentlewoman so loyally at your side.
Oh! Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice.
He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. Yeah, he's a good guy. I like him. As you've probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate the scene some more. Right, well, that's the untrainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina! Looks like she's preoccupied. She seems to be busy playing with a puppy, probably giving it a traditional East End training.
Gina? She's a police officer now?
Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. She got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yup, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodaloo to London.
Oh no, really?
That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted, then? We'll come to see how you're getting along. Haha, not likely. But you're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is. To France? I'll be working in the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France, it's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, Sunshine. Now don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. I'm intended to take the kid with me when I go. What? You're taking Gina to Paris? Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what would become of her? I suppose he's worried she'd slip back into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses.
I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruhodo. I think he's worried about the Reaper.
There's her ESP again. Oh, of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, is it? Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing, you hear me? No, of course not. Gotta keep that diving diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least. Yeah, hopefully you don't get transferred until... hopefully she doesn't get transferred until the end of the game. Because, you know, it's nice to have her around.
Oi, did you just call me a bloomin' diving diva again?
So you heard that, did ya? Right, well, any questions about the scene, you can put them to my capable detective diva here.
Alright, you heard the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now.
I suppose I'd better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you've got a new dog, have you? Look at the boy. Look at that boy.
Isn't he great? Toby's his name.
That's a good name.
Oh, how delightful. He's absolutely adorable.
Yes, the dog does seem lovely. But it's the not-so-lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Hey, move that out of your mind for now, and talk about the dog. Well, we'll talk about the dog last. Save the best for last. Gina. We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, that's alright, is it?
I'm gonna be playing with me new friend here.
Ah, yes, Toby.
The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind... Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Oh. It's like I told Otto yesterday. Even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it. The Special
Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is that what you were thinking of?
That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The Forensic something?
The Forensics Investigation Team? Is that what you were thinking of?
That's the one, yeah. But isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with you. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other, as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something. I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps. That's the one, yeah! Apparently he's always watching the time or something.
So, without Lord Strongheart's express permission, we can't investigate on the stage. Interesting. Wonder why he has a stranglehold over the scene.
It was great. It was great, weren't it? I had a right laugh. It was a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying about him to be found out.
Worrying about if I'm about to be found out. I misread that. Too many apostrophes.
You did keep an awful lot of secrets in your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and Otto's made things odd for me every single time and all.
Just doing my job, Gina.
Been watching someone else get it in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. Wow. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment. It was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruhodo's client.
Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. Hey, same, boy, same.
It's the boss I feel sorry for, sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest that other cove, ain't he? In time for tomorrow and all. You know, the dodgy engineer. What's his name again?
Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber.
That's the one, yeah!
So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be.
It's putting too much on the boss, if you ask me. He says it's giving him gut ache. Oh dear, but I do wonder if that isn't actually from all the fried food.
Probably is. So Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they've had any luck.
He's really funny looking. Got two eyes what don't match. Stole a glimpse of the picture of him earlier. I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it.
Sorry, who?
You know, that scowling reaper what's always glugging down glasses to that blood-red plonk. Ah, Lord Van Zeeks. He's always added in for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, mind. Probably would have been a pretty good boss as it goes.
She'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee? The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-glugging demigod, you're equally badly off with both.
Oh, I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that.
Glad we put that one to bed.
Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. But there don't seem to be no clues to go on, so they're stuck.
There's nothing that can lead us to Drebber at all? Yeah, we probably won't find him before the trial. He'll probably be like one of the jury members or something. Like the guy on the left. Where did you find that little mutt then, Gina?
Oi, don't be so flaming rude, Otto.
Slight overreaction, don't you think? No, it's never an overreaction when it comes to dogs.
He ain't no mud, all right. Toby's, how do they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective. Sorry? I've given him a proper title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you.
That means he's above you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he?
Ooh, so he's a police dog, is he?
The police recruit dogs now? I've heard that they're already
I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing.
Yeah, German shepherds.
They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell, after all.
I have a fairly good sense of smell myself, as it happens. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. I think that's normal. But I don't know why you would be sniffing underwear. We'll move that one. We'll push that one aside.
That's nothing compared to this little fella, Otto.
Oh, really?
According to what the boss has said, once Toby here's got a good whiff of your drawers, he can chase that scent to the other side of the world.
What? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim? Why is that what you take from that?
Mr. Naruhodo, I think you may have missed the point by a rather wide margin.
I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill.
I'm telling you, Otto, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in future.
That's very true.
Yes, I agree. Right, one of these days they'll be barking orders at us lot, not the other way around. Oh dear. Sorry, Gina, I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby here is Britain's first police dog. I found him down at the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street.
Found him down in the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street? Interesting. There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere. Well, if he was a stray.
Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals.
Well, I got something that I want him to sniff, to be honest. About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important.
Okay, I was hoping that wasn't like a filler text sort of thing.
Eh? How come?
There's
just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is very high-quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say! Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that you should smell it.
Oh, right. You mean Toby.
I find it funny that I mentioned about the fact that, maybe if a dog smells the back of this, and then just next scene, we have a dog, a police dog or something of the sort. If his sense of smell is so good, can't he track people over the oceans? I don't know why I rewrote the sentence as I was saying it, but whatever.
Professor Hairbrain informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop.
I think he's picked up a scent.
So you mean, if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right, that's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
What? Wait, when did you... What's a pickpocket?
If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Poor Gregson. Okay, well. I think that's good and all. So, we got the scent. We got the scent of the card. We got, I mean, we got the card from from Hairbrain, and Toby has smelled it, so I guess we just gotta come back and wait. We just gotta wait until she finds the scent at some point. I'm glad I thought of that, to be quite honest, because I feel like that's probably something that some people probably didn't think of, and then they had to come back and figure it out by presenting everything to her. But learned a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff sort of setting the stage for the big twists and turns in these last 3 cases. So, very fun episode. Thank you guys very much for watching. And in the next episode, we will investigate this area and then maybe go ask Lord Strongheart for permission to investigate the machine. But yeah, that's it for now, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.